How can we escape the credit card trap? That is the question we're going to discuss this morning on Ground Zero Minding Your Money. We'll be right back. How can we escape the credit card trap? That is the hot topic for this morning on Ground Zero Minding Your Money. I am Nicovana Shannon, CEO and founder of Shannon and Associates, Inc. And we've been serving our community for 14 years. We specialize in financial care solutions for individuals that are on the path to getting financially healthy. And I have my amazing co-host, Anissa Wright, with us this morning, and she's going to introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. I am your favorite family finance advocate, Anissa Wright, and I'm so excited to have you here this morning. That's such a great question. My whole goal is to help you build generational wealth, get out of debt, and secure a wonderful financial future. And credit cards are, if used incorrectly, the enemy to financial security, right, Nicovana?
Yes.
I mean, they are truly traps for most people. What do you think about that?
I do. I think they are traps. It's definitely easy to get into debt, and it's harder to get out of debt. And there's so much temptation. There's so much temptation to use credit cards. And it's amazing how the strategies that are used to get people to sign up for debt is just crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it starts, early, right? It starts early. It starts when we are in college. I mean,
Yes.
They grab us right when we're coming out of the house. We're headed to college. We're young and we're young and we're dumb, right? with pizza and all these different treats to lure us over to, engage with them so they can sign us up for these credit cards. Listen, they know what they're doing.
Right.
Even today, Nicovana, how many credit card offers have you received in the mail just in this past week?
Oh my goodness. I could say I've received like 3. I've had a pre-approval for a credit card. For a car loan. I've had a pre-qualification for a credit card. And I also had one come in to help me consolidate my debt.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how they get you. They give you all these nice little incentives, these offers. Oh, you're pre-approved. Sign up today. You get an extra $50 credit. All these wonderful promises, right?
Yes.
They don't show you the nefarious fine line, print on the back of the credit card offer. What about this, Nicovana?
Yes.
You walk into your favorite clothing store.
Yes.
And they say, hey, have you signed up for our credit card? If you sign up today, you get an extra 20% off.
Yes.
You look at that $350 dress you're holding, you're like, 20%, that sounds pretty nice, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's our trap, right?
Oh no, absolutely. And it's just so easy to put what you purchase on credit because it's like a bucket that you don't really think about. It's a bucket that you can charge on and then think about it later. And then you still have money in the bank. So it just kind of gives this illusion of more money that you really don't have. Absolutely.
It's so abstract. Like you said, it's abstract. You just swipe. It's not hurting you immediately. The pain comes much, much later.
Much later.
And so that's what we want to point out for most people. What are some other reasons? Now, we know those incentives, those prizes, if you will, or those, gifts that these credit card companies are offering us, are definitely incentives. But what are some other reasons why we're quick to pull out that credit card?
You know what? A lot of it just comes down to compulsive buying. I mean, we don't think about it. And then it feels good at the moment. It's almost like a fix. You can just get what you want when you think you want it, instead of taking the pause and saying, let me think about this. Maybe I don't really need this right now. But you just kind of ride the wave of your emotions. So yeah, that's an easy trap right there.
That's good that you said that too, needs versus wants, right? Because we get into that line at the grocery store or wherever we are. Well, we need to buy groceries. But even in doing that, especially if we're using a credit card, do we need that we put on that grocery list? Buying perishable things or things that are something that, aren't huge purchases where you need a line of credit for, should you be pertinent? Is it a need or is it just a want? That's a great point that you brought forward, because a lot of people think, well, it's only $20 and I really do need it. $20 could end up costing you way more.
And that right there is the kicker. That's the trap. The trap is, you know what?
So Nicovana, some of those incentives are definitely reasons why we're quick to grab that credit card. But what are some other reasons why, instead of paying cash, we choose to pay with credit?
You know what? Just that compulsive buying, that just that energy behind the feeling of getting something that you want right then, right there, and you feel like you have the money to do it. You look at your credit as your money. So if you have that extra space on your credit card and you want those pairs of shoes or that dress or whatever it might be that you're trying to get, instead of just taking the pause and saying, do I really need this right now? We just kind of ride the wave of that whole feeling of, oh, I'm getting what I want right now because it's a sale, or, they may not have it when I come back. I mean, it just kind of, you just feed into that. And it's almost like a fix. It's almost like a fix, you swipe and you got it, even though you're not thinking about the consequences later, which is really the interest rate. The interest rate on your credit card. I mean, that's the wolf that comes out and bites you.
That is so true. And it mauls you is better.
Right.
That is so true. And see, listen, I think the majority of people, even when it comes to buying a car or buying a home, the first people think about is, well, can I afford the monthly note? And it's the same thing with the credit card. Well, if it's only going to be $100 a month, or you buy, I don't know, a couch, and they have, monthly payments. Well, it's only, $400 a month, or the case may be, and you do your budget.
Yeah.
Well, I can afford an extra $100 a month, right?
Right.
Not saying no one, but most people don't think about the interest behind it.
Right.
They just look at, when they buy that car, I can afford $350. Let me do something where it's $350 a month. And so that interest rate does come back and bite you, because you don't even know it's there, but you don't know what it is, and you don't know how it affects your payments.
Exactly.
That's absolutely true. So I want to break that down. I want to break down for most people how that works, because we still don't know. We know we have an APR on our credit card. Nicovana, do you know how many people know exactly what their APR on their credit card is?
You know what? A lot of people don't. And they don't realize, depending on the type of credit card that they select, you could actually have a variable APR, which means that it changes with the stock market, or it changes if you miss a payment. And so those are those traps that we're talking about. But you know what, Anissa, we're going to dive right into that whole concept of interest on credit cards when we come back from our break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, everybody. It's starting to get good. We finna break down this wolf that come out and maul you, called interest rate on your credit card. It can look the big bad wolf, right? And it can absolutely scare you if you do not understand how this APR thing works.
And we don't want you to be Little Red Riding Hood getting up today, so we're gonna break it down for you.
That's right.
Be that great huntsman, that woodsman that came and saved the day.
That's right.
So I'm actually gonna share my screen here. because I want you to be able to see what this means. What does it mean when you talk about APRs? What does that mean when you're talking about minimum payments, so forth and so on? Let's break this whole thing down. So let's take a look at our sample customer client here. Somebody that will come to me and say, listen, I have some debt. I want to get it taken care of, but I have some credit card debt. What does this mean? So this particular client has $3,500 in credit card debt. Okay. So
which is quite typical.
Which is quite typical, right? That's not out of the norm, right? The majority of credit card holders have somewhere between $8,000 to $10,000 worth of debt. So this is actually on the low end.
Right.
But let's look at that interest rate. Nikavana, what is that interest rate?
The interest rate is 21%.
That is high. That's almost a quarter of what they've purchased, right? That's crazy. 21%. But check out that minimum payment, Nikavana. Now, who would balk? Not many people would balk at a $64 minimum payment. I could pay that. Oh, that's I could pay that, right?
Yeah. But anything,
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, anything under $100 look attractive to people, Right.
Oh, I can afford that. Oh, it's only going to cost me this much. Okay, I'm good, But this is where that wolf comes out that we talked about.
Yes.
If you continue to pay $64 a month, that minimum payment, it's going to take you how long to pay that debt?
Wow.
You're going to be 132 years old, paying $47,000 in interest. Now, I want to make sure you understand, interest is the cost of borrowing money.
Okay.
On top of the principal amount that you originally borrowed. You only borrowed $3,500, right, on your credit card. When you end up paying, if you continue to pay the minimum balance, you'll end up paying $47,000 on top of that $3,500.
Yes.
And it just gets worse.
Right.
And this is how nefarious it is, and I hope I don't get in trouble, but so it's super nefarious because the way the credit card company set it up is they give you this low monthly payment because they know it's going to take you a long time to pay it off, and they can continue to accrue that 21% interest from you. So how does that work? What is the APR? APR is an annual percentage rate. Nikavana, if that means you have a 21% interest rate on your credit cards, you take that 21% and you divide it by 12. There's 12 months in a year. You take that annual percentage rate and you divide it by 12. Well, what does that equal? That equals what, Nikavana? What do you see here?
I see 1.75%.
Yes, which means the total interest charge that you're being charged monthly is what, Nikavana? What do you see?
$61.25.
$61.25 is going towards interest. If your minimum payment is $64, Nikavana, how much of that money is going towards that $3,500 that you borrowed?
Nothing.
And that's why it takes you years to pay off that debt. That's why it takes you $47,000 additional dollars in order to in addition to what you're paying. Only $2.75 is going to that principal.
Exactly.
So the old balance is $3,500. You pay that $2.75. Your new balance is
$3,497.
Nikavana.
25 cents.
Nikavana.
That's kind of scary. Yes.
Super, super scary. And this is a trap that most people find themselves in day after day, month after month, year after year.
Absolutely. I mean,
get out of debt. And I talked about this real quick.
Sure.
Previously, I mean, when we were talking about it earlier, credit card companies target college students. Listen, that's when they get us. Right? Coming right up, get us early. 1 in 4 college student leaves college with more than $5,000 in credit card debt. Now that's in addition to student loans.
Yes.
Guys, come on, talk to me.
I know.
Who can feel what I'm?
Yes, I feel it. I do.
Listen, this is This is the reason why, one of the main reasons why we cannot get out of debt, because we continue this cycle of paying interest on top of what we've already borrowed. We don't understand how it works. We're paying that minimum balance. We just don't understand why it's not getting lower, and we end up not paying anything. But then we go and, buy the things that we need. We don't really need them.
Right.
Right. We have to make some sacrifices. And so we have to start doing that. Listen, they want you to run up your credit card bills. They want you to minimize that payment. If you've never watched this movie, it's a documentary called Maxed Out, Nick Ivana. Check it out. It dives more into that.
Okay.
And I definitely want you to, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. I definitely want you to take a look at that, because listen, this is a conversation we need to be having.
No, it is. And that illustration was so clear and concise, and it really just breaks down that whole thing about that interest rate. I mean, that is huge. That is huge. When you hear any financial planner or financial counselor, financial coach talk about you getting out of debt, one of the ways you can do that is negotiating your interest rate. Actually talking to your creditor and seeing if you can get your interest rate lowered. A lot of reasons why the interest rate is so high is because we've had some derogatory things that may have happened on our credit, or we just didn't know any better. It just was a great offer at the time, and we took it, and because we were not knowledgeable about it, then we end up later, when you do become more knowledgeable and understanding, that maybe you should have got the credit card with the 6.5 or whatever that lower interest rate may look like. Anything under 14% is a whole lot better than 21, or anything above 14% is you're really in the high risk area. That's just So even 14% is high. If you can get it lower than that, that would be great. But still, 21% is real scary. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And getting credit cards if you have to use a credit card, if there's something that you're looking to purchase and you need a credit card to do that, looking for a 0% interest rate, introductory rate on a credit card is absolutely great, because then it gives you time to pay off that principal balance without incurring any additional costs. So listen, there are alternatives, there are options. Don't feel like you have to stick with, like Nick Ivana said, that interest rate. Contact your creditors, ask them to lower it, see if they have any 0% introductory offers, because they're out there. And even for those who have great credit, listen, I know a lot of people that have great credit and still didn't know that they were paying 21% interest on their credit cards. They're paying it off, each month or whatever the case may be. But it's just that it just takes one time or two times not to pay it off. And that's extra money that's coming out of your pocket that didn't have to come out of your pocket.
Absolutely.
Because you didn't pay the balance. So that's absolutely, exactly what we're talking about. Can I show one more?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. Yeah.
So
I think it's so great to show it, to illustrate it and to show it, because the reality is that, that is the trap with the credit card, is the interest rate. That APR is everything. And if you don't walk away with anything this morning, what we encourage you to do is read the fine print, turn over those contracts that you are getting ready to sign in regards to these credit cards, and read what they say. Because first of all, you don't even need to sign if the credit card is a variable APR. Like if it says that, and they have that in big print. So if it says that, you need to stop. Like, just stop. Like, don't read no more.
Right.
You're looking for that fixed APR. That fixed APR is what you want.
Yes, absolutely. That is right. And then a low fixed APR at that.
Yes.
Most people don't think that they can actually pay off their homes in addition to their credit cards and student loans, so forth. And
mhm.
so, you know, in a quick manner, and you absolutely can. It takes discipline and it takes consistency,
Yeah,
but it can absolutely be done. You don't have to stay stuck in a 30-year mortgage. You don't have to stay
absolutely.
stuck in a 6-year car loan, whatever the case may be.
Right,
You can actually
right.
accelerate those payments. And I just want to illustrate that real quickly, what
Absolutely.
that looks like here. This particular client, you know, has credit card debt, student loans, and a mortgage, as I mentioned before. Here,
Mhm.
their minimum monthly payment for all of those things is $1,925. Look at the projected interest that this particular client can avoid if
Mhm.
they just work with a planner or a financial coach that can show them how to accelerate those payments, build upon paying those debts off faster, and they can avoid
Yes.
paying that much interest. I mean, it's absolutely doable. The problem is that most people either don't know how or just don't want to be disciplined enough to get it done. Nikavana, what do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that I yes, yes. Being on an accelerated plan really is, if you have debt and you are really wanting to see progress, that would be the route that you would want to go.
Yes.
That would definitely be the route for sure, is to accelerate your payments and be able to stay consistent for a period of time. It's worth it. It's worth the
Absolutely.
time and the discipline when you know that you can be out of debt, you know, in 5 years or 3 years or whatever that might look like for you. Do it. Do
Absolutely.
it. I mean, there, I mean, all it is just to do it.
Yes, absolutely, Nikavana. And the freedom that you feel, again, I know we talked about this in one of the previous episodes, the
Hmm.
freedom that you feel from having a budget and having a plan in place
Hmm.
is much more freedom than that I deserve
Yes.
it attitude. Well, I deserve to go get,
Right.
you know, those shoes or that car or that toy, whatever it is. You want the freedom of being able to say, you know what, I want to take a vacation, and because I don't have debt and I don't have to
I
worry about this, I
know.
can do that. I have
And
my
you
money
can
saved. I
do
have
it.
that's the type of freedom that you want, and that's the type of freedom we want you to achieve, and we're going to help you get there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when we come back from the break, we're going to dive right back in to some other tips that can help you in regards to escaping this credit card trap. We'll be
Yes.
right back. You know what? We have been talking about the topic of the credit card trap.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the wolf in the room, right, that
Yes.
comes in and just sneaks up on you. You really don't know, if you're not really paying attention and you're not reading the fine print, you could absolutely get caught in that trap, which is
Mm-hmm.
called the interest rate.
Yes.
And you know, the higher your interest rate is, the longer it's going to take you to pay off your debt.
Yeah.
The lower your interest rate, you still are, it's still going to be an extended time, but not as long. And if you absolutely use an accelerated plan, when it comes to your debt, you can be out of debt faster.
Absolutely.
And so the key to it all is really just sticking to a plan, and
Mm-hmm.
know that the plan needs to be obtainable. It needs to be something that won't overwhelm you and feel like you can't do it, or just seems tough, like it's squeezing you out. It's important to look at that plan as freedom. You
Yes.
know, in 5 years, you'll really be able to start doing the things that you really, really love to do. That could be starting a business, that could be traveling, going on the vacation that you always wanted to go on. That could be assisting your parents if they're aging and you're able to do that. It
Yeah.
could be positioning yourself to take care of, you know, family, you know, if one of your partner or your spouse gets sick, and you have the nest egg to say, you know what, I can take a year off from work and it's not even going to interrupt the flow of my house. Those are the type of things that I want.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's a great point that you mentioned too. You know, once
Yeah.
you pay off the credit card debt, so you're no longer making those minimum payments. Can you imagine you have 5 credit cards? Each one of those credit cards is a $50 minimum payment,
Hmm.
right? You know, how much is that a month? You know, that's $250 $50 a month that you're paying in minimum balances. Can you imagine if you paid those credit cards off? Now you have $250 that you can invest and use either to pay off other debt, or you can put it in an investment account so they can earn interest and grow for you.
Absolutely.
So getting rid of that debt early so that you can use it for what it needs to be used for, that's the position you want to be in.
No, that is it.
And paying those minimum balances, even considering, transferring your balances, like I mentioned before, to a 0% interest rate so that you can pay them down. That's definitely something you should consider.
Absolutely. And it's something that you mentioned was when we do come out, right? Because we want our savvy money managers to come out of debt, and we want them to use the accelerated plan to do that, right? So let's say they have come out. The beautiful thing about that whole interest thing, instead of it being an interest rate that's tacked onto your debt, now turn that into compound interest, right? Now we're investing. We're investing. We're doing things that are going to leave a nest egg for you to enjoy for retirement and your kids to enjoy.
Should be our next episode. We should talk about investing in the next episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we definitely will do that, but I wanted to just kind of talk about that compound interest piece. Since we talked about the interest rate for the credit card, let's kind of expound on what that compound interest looks like when you do begin investing. Right? Because in one way is negative. It's like working against you, but on the other hand, compound interest is working for you.
Absolutely. Albert Einstein said it was the 8th great wonder of the world. Compound interest. It absolutely is true. I mean, that's how the rich get richer, because they know how to use interest rates for their benefit. And when you look at the way the banks and other financial institutions use your money to create wealth for themselves, it will blow your mind. And again, next time we come together, I'll show an illustration. But in a nutshell, taking your money and earning, interest. If you have $100 and, you're earning 10% interest, that's an extra $10 that you're earning. And so it just builds on top of that. So now you're earning interest on $110. You earn, another 10%. And so it just builds upon itself. And that's how these larger, wealthier institutions are building that generational wealth for themselves. And you have access to the same tools and vehicles.
Absolutely.
To do the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what, just to kind of give just a little segue into what we're going to expound upon in our next episode, in regards to that compound interest, what does that look like, right? What is that when we're saying, how do you start this compounding interest process? One of those ways is really having an interest-bearing bank account. You can start there. You could start with a money market account, or you could even have a CD, that could work for you in regards to building that compound interest. That's just an introductory way of doing it if you just walk right into your bank.
Right. Absolutely. And again, like she said, that's just flipping the whole interest rate for your benefit. On one side, we have the big bad wolf, on the other side we have the what's the Wizard of Oz?
The fairy godmother.
I don't know. We can definitely use it for our benefit. It's just that too many of us are using it to our detriment. So let's turn that. Let's change that. Let's change that process, get rid of the debt, get into the wealth, and make our money work for us through compound interest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know what? I know that we have fed our GZ tribe some good stuff this morning. But as far as that, I want you to have a great day. I'm going to pass it off to my amazing co-host, and we'll see you next week.
All right. We will definitely see you next week. So glad you can join us today. See you next week, Monday morning at 5:30 a.m.